The Meeples and Miniatures podcast is sponsored by Two Fat Lardies, Code Darms Paints, and Miniature War Games with Battle Games magazine, and also by the generous donations of you, the listener. Thanks to everybody for their continued support.
The Meeples and Miniatures podcast, episode 125. Salute 2014. This show was recorded between April the 12th and May the 3rd, 2014. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Meeples and Miniatures podcast with me, your host, Neil Shook. On this show, I'm going to be presenting a few interviews I recorded during the recent Salute show at the Excel Centre at London. Now, I've been to this show several years now, and it seems to get busier every year, and actually seems to get harder and harder work to actually get any interviews. So, unfortunately, I'm not presenting that many interviews this year. I've only got half a dozen, which is a bit of a shame. Although it was one of these things that you end up in a situation where you get lots of promises from people to chat about various things at later dates. So, hopefully, I've got a lot more interviews and stuff coming up in the near future regarding several things that we saw at Salute, but just didn't get the chance to chat about on the day. You know, to be honest, although it's a little bit of a frustration at times, you know, first and foremost, people who are at Salute, especially those on trade stands, are there at Salute as a retail day. You know, their number one priority is to make sure that their pitch pays for itself during the day, and that, you know, they have a good day from a retail point of view. So their number one priority is obviously serving customers, and not chatting to somebody trying to thrust a microphone in front of their face. And even when things get slightly less busy, you know, by the time you hit 3 o'clock, most people have been up and doing stuff for between 10 and 12 hours, depending on where they travel from and what have you. So that means that, you know, people are tired, and they don't necessarily want to record an interview, which is, you know, perfectly fair enough. So as I say, this time around, not many interviews, I'm afraid. However, we did manage to grab a few, and so I present them here. Hope you find them useful and enjoyable. I managed to catch up with Dave from Hawk War Games. Hi. Nice to speak to you again. Yeah. So, third Salute.
Yeah, here we are again.
Yeah, so first off, you're kind of been known for kind of making big stands. Last year you had, was it a 30-foot city?
Yeah, big massive city last year with 30,000 points of models on it.
Yeah, this year you've gone, slightly differently. We seem to have a scale dropship in the middle of the stand. Tell us a little bit about this.
It's a 10mm scale strike carrier, a void ship, basically, 3 metres long. Took me some time to build, probably about 500 hours or so. Most of that in the last 27 days or so.
Oh, right.
It's been very, very, very long hours, no breaks, because I can't let it distract myself too much from the real work that I've got to do. It's kind of an aside project. It's got about 4,000 plastic components and about 3,000 or 4,000 resin components.
Right.
Used over a pint of super glue on it. About 100 feet odd of glue gun glue.
Yeah.
Many, many square metres of foam core. Like, you know, blood, sweat and tears and all the rest of it. Yeah. It's been good. It's not quite finished here. It's almost done. But it's lit. It contains 100 drop ships.
Yeah.
with all moving parts. They all go inside and everything like that. It will be on our show scene for the whole of this year. Not every show we go to, but all the bigger ones we'll bring it to.
Yeah, obviously it's this is what, 3 metres long?
Yeah, just over 3 metres long, about 30 or 40 kilos of resin in there. It breaks down into several parts. There's a moving turrets as well. So I'm looking forward to getting the paint job finished.
Yeah.
And the next time it will be out in the world will probably be UK Games Expo in May. And hopefully by that point it will be completely finished. So if you missed it here, that would be a good chance to go and see it again.
Oh, of course. Yeah. Okay, so obviously that's certainly acting as a centre point for the stand, but obviously as far as Hawk War Games is concerned, you've been going for what, 2.5 years now?
Yeah, 2 years since we announced here.
Yeah.
I've been working on it for nearly 6 now, like 5.5 years or so, but only 2 years in the public eye, I suppose. 1.5 on the market, but we've got our new expansion coming out pretty soon.
Okay. I mean, how's it all going?
Oh yeah, it's going great. I mean, we've just taken on a full-time artist to work on the new book, partly because the original book had lots of photography, which was great for showing off the models and the game, but it doesn't quite give the same flavour as artwork.
Quite.
My sketch work is not great. But Patrice's, we're privileged to have him. He's brilliant, and there's going to be a lot of his art in the new book, along with the photography that people know from us. So it'll be both. Lots more background, things like that.
Okay, so what can we expect to see in the new book?
Well, the main core of it is the new race, the Resistance, which are a kind of hodgepodge of various improvised munitions, old military tech that still runs that dates back from before the Scourge invasion. So it's all it's more the kind of guerrilla fighters, partisan activity, that kind of thing. So very different from the other 4 races. Not standard at all over the place, different colour schemes, and but that it appeals to Orc players perhaps, but they're like elite. They're actually really tough fighters because they've had to live 200 years of Scourge oppression and they've survived it. So they're not by any means unskilled. They just have poor quality equipment generally. So you got those, but then there'll also be new scenarios, new background, printed rules for all the new units we've been releasing in the last year, and a few more that people haven't seen yet.
Okay. So about how many units are we looking at? Obviously, you've been releasing some new units. About how many more have you got to see as part of this new rulebook?
Well, the Resistance itself are going to have an equivalent number of releases when their full range is out to compete directly with all the other races. We're not going to do a kind of release a new race, but it's weak because it hasn't got enough units. They won't all be out at once, but they'll come out in pretty short order. So you'll be able to tournament up with the other races quite quick.
Yeah.
So probably about 20 different units for them. Between 16 and 20, we're not quite set on the final number yet.
Yeah.
Then probably about between 5 to 8 for the other races as well.
Yeah.
Some of which are out, some of which aren't. The format of us doing downloadable rules for new releases works really nicely for us because we can make sure it's not broken before we print it.
Yeah.
We do a lot of playtesting ourselves, but we're keen on making a balanced game and keeping it balanced for tournament play. So we like to see independent playtesting going on as well. So whatever we print is going to have been playtested quite heavily, so we can't do whole swathes of new models that we've not made yet and just print rules for them, because we could do that. It's quite easy to do that, but it's not healthy for a game. People are having rules for units that they don't have, but they want to use them in games. There's never a perfect solution, but we like that way of doing things. It works well.
Yeah. You've also been going through several new bits of scenery.
Yeah, we've got those are the new scenery packs.
Yeah.
They're designed to work with scenarios, which will be downloadable and available in the new book.
Okay.
So you've got things like the monorail set.
Yeah.
That's coming out at the end of the month. Then we've got the orbital defence laser. That's next month.
Yeah.
They're nice scenery pieces anyway. They're mainstream retail, so you'll be able to get those in your local gaming store.
Yeah.
But also they're obviously designed to go with scenarios that are written especially for that piece of scenery in mind. So there's things like the big landing pad, which is like an entrance to an underground hangar.
Oh, right, yeah.
Then you've got the bunker set with a set of bunkers, different scenarios for those, the monorail, the orbital defence laser, several things, the civilian vehicles, all these different sets we're working on, just to add a bit of flavour to the game and increase the scope of it a little bit more.
Okay. Yeah, and as I say, since the Cityscape came out last year, you produced the Ruinscape as well, haven't you?
Yeah, RuneScape.
And obviously we've seen the two-player starter set. As far as that is concerned, are we looking at plans to put the other starter armies into plastic as well?
It's one of those. This is always an awkward question.
Yeah,
it's something we'd like to do. Something we're not opposed to. We are kind of traditionally funded, so we have to progress as a business.
Yeah.
It's not something I'd say no to for sure. You know, watch this space is what I'd say at the moment. You know, it's not about to appear tomorrow, but it's in our minds anyway. At least it's something we'd like to see.
Mm-hmm. Well, and can you tease us with anything else that for the future that's coming out?
Well, we've got one cabinet we're working on a collector's edition range. We get enough people asking for us, like, it would be great if you did some of these models bigger.
Yeah.
For the cabinet or for other systems or whatever. So we've done a few of them. The one cabinet is just 3D prints from our office 3D printer.
Okay.
Not very good quality. They're just test mock-ups, just to give you an idea of how big the models are. But there is one model in the cabinet which is a fully done resin kit for the Ares Walker in 30mm scale, which has got all posable toes, posable legs, everything.
Oh, right.
We're looking at doing. We're not sure exactly. We're having it here to see what other people think about it.
Yeah.
In terms of how they'd like to see them released, we might do a Kickstarter for them if people were really keen on them, so we could grow it as people want, if that makes sense. You know.
Yeah.
Or we might just release them online only on the site tentatively and things. We're feeling our way with it. It's a bit of a side project, but you know, people have been keen with them today and have really liked the Ares. So. You know, we'll see how that goes, really. That's why it's here, just to sort of give people a sense of, I like that. You know, we take soundings for people and see what they like.
Okay. Well, thank you for talking to us, and I hope you have a good show.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you.
The eagles have gone. Britain lies defenseless in a cruel world. Since the birth of our Lord, it has been 456 years. What sins have we committed to bring this punishment to Britain? I speak, of course, of the Saxons. They came as allies, but now they seek conquest. The lands of the Britons lie ravaged before them. Blood runs red in our island. We need a leader to stand against them. We need a man to bring together the Britons in common cause. We seek a Dux Britanniarum.
Right, that's enough of that. Dux Britanniarum from Two Fat Lardies. They really are very good.
Well, I'm here with Adam Weller from from Demented Games. Great to meet you, Adam. And you have this new game that you're bringing to market called Twisted.
Yes.
Tell us all about Twisted, please.
Hi, Twisted is a steampunk board game.
Yeah.
It's going to be a Kickstarter in August, September.
Yeah.
The original, the first set, the board game is going to be a large box with about 35 superbly sculpted miniatures. Mm-hmm. All the board sections, all double-sided tiles. And it's set in Victorian London, and you'll get the sewers set and the streets on the board. So there's two complete board sections you can play on.
Yeah.
You'll get the basic rules, you'll get the dice, the character cards, and the miniatures. So everything you need to play straight out of the box.
Right.
At the same time, we're developing an advanced rules box set as well, which will bring in a magic system to use, more cards, and a lot more of an RPG type flavour to it.
Okay.
And we're also doing the first game expansion as well, which shifts our heroes into Egypt. where we'll be looking for the next part of the engine node.
Right.
So you're going to get a lot of steampunk mummies, archaeologists, Egyptian gods, and the like.
Right. Okay. So, where'd the whole idea come from?
Well, the whole idea came from actually myself. I moved to Australia a few years. I'm an English guy.
Yeah.
And I met these really cool guys at Golden Demon Australia, and one of them was Sebastian Archer.
Okay.
And he just such a talented sculptor and painter, and I sort of approached him and said, look, why don't we try and do something? What can we do? And it eventually came down to let's do a game. You know, we can use your sculpting skills, you know, this whole steampunk thing that we all love. We then roped in a guy from Melbourne called Peter Overton.
Yeah.
He writes all the fluff, the rules, everything, and we just all gelled. We thought, right, let's go for this, put it out there, and we're now getting close to where we've got a product.
Okay, so we've got some concepts of the first miniatures here today.
Yep.
Very different looking from a lot of the VSF out there. I mean, people will be familiar with the stuff that Westwind are producing, and also the Inner Majesty's Name. This is a different take again, isn't it? Yeah. So, for example, we've got the Artful Dodger on a motorised unicycle.
Yep, that's right.
Yeah.
The whole concept about a lot of this is that in our steampunk world, there's this thing called the engine, which is like the god engine, which makes the Earth tick, and has gone a little bit out of kilter.
Okay.
So things are changing, and they're becoming twisted.
Yes.
So there's also magic users that are experimenting on people, changing them. And our heroes, for instance, are characters that are brought in by the engine, and they're brought through time, history, fantasy. You know, we have Neo from The Matrix, we have Lancelot, we have Gretel and Hansel, Tesla, Florence Nightingale. They're all part of our hero base, but they've been twisted.
Yes.
They're very steampunk.
Yeah.
So the nice thing about this genre gives us is this freedom to think, okay, we'll use this character. We like that. They're interesting.
Yeah.
People like that. We can steampunk them up and build them.
Right, okay.
So it gives us a lot of freedom, and so far the response to the miniatures has been really good. People love them. So.
Oh, yeah, I'm not surprised that, they're stunning. They're really lovely.
Really good.
Yeah. Okay, so you mentioned mummies, and we talked, you said that you got another couple of expansions kind of in the works.
That's right,
sort of thing.
yeah.
Okay, so it's starting off as a board game.
Yes, that's right.
Okay, so that's very much a kind of traditional kind of tile-based board game?
Yes, it is. It's tile-based, squares on the tile, you move in squares.
Okay.
Very simple rule set.
Right.
But we've developed a system which sits on top of that, an advanced set.
Yeah.
So you get the original box, you get the advanced one, and you can just transport your advanced rules straight to the tiles.
Okay, so anybody from playing Hero Quest to Dungeons and Dragons would be really familiar with.
Absolutely, yep. My friend Pete says it's steampunk space hulk out of the box.
Oh, super.
So, that very
sold.
much, yeah. All of us sort of love those early games. I love that, Warhammer Quest, Hero Quest, love those elements of gameplay. But we're trying to write a system with the advanced stuff which you can do other things. You can write scenarios, you can play on the board.
Okay.
You can play it any way you want.
Okay, so are we likely to see this export into from a board game maybe into a fully fledged skirmish game at some point?
That is the plan. Once we've got enough factions, and we're hoping to do, we said we're definitely doing the Egyptian faction.
Yeah.
The next faction we're probably looking at after that is an Atlantis box set, which is very much all mermaids, Ariels, things like that. And I think then we'll be at a point where we'll have 4 or 5 factions, which we've already got working on skirmish rules.
Yeah.
So we're then going to release a set which will have more warband, skirmish, setting up on your own scenery, playing on a table.
Right.
So hopefully anyone should be able to play this game. We should, hopefully if you're a skirmish guy, tabletop, board game, role-play gamer, you should be able to get something out of this game.
Right. Okay, so if people are more interested in finding out more about Twisted at the moment, what do they do?
Right, there's a couple of ways. We've got a Facebook page, which is a Twisted Game, I believe. We've got a website, which is dementedgames.com, and on there we've got subscribe to our newsletter. We're literally just starting to fill stuff out now. We've got a Twitter account as well, which is TwistedADV.
Right.
So there's many ways that you can follow us, and all of this will be leading up to this Kickstarter in August, September. But we're going to be posting loads of stuff on the Facebook page for that.
Right.
So there's lots of information. At the moment, we're feeding stuff through the Facebook page.
Yeah.
We're still building the website up to what we want it to be, but it's got the link to our newsletter at the moment.
Okay. Well, it looks fantastic, Adam.
Thanks a lot.
And, people know I'm a sucker for Victorian sci-fi, so... Looks like I could be sending some of my money your way.
I hope so.
Thanks for talking to us.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
I'm here with Alex from Studio Tomahawk, but not the Alex. You're another Alex, aren't you?
Yeah, you're right.
Yes. Okay, so you're. So we're with Studio Tomahawk at the Gripping Beast stand, and you've got 2 games on display today: Jugular and the Crescent and the Cross. Do you want to tell us something about them?
Yes, of course. Jugular in English version just arrived, especially for Salute today. So we come from France to show to the English people and to the Salute visitor this new new game about gladiators, and in reality about Lanista.
Yeah.
So Lanista, this is the owner of the Ludus, the school of gladiator.
Yeah.
And you can manage with this rule book some fight in the arena, and I hope so to upgrade your Ludus during the campaign system. This is for Jugular.
Right.
We have also croissant, and we say in French le croissant et la croix.
Right.
Yes. And we expect it will be ready for June, but not sure because Jugular give us a lot of work in French and also in English.
Yeah.
We are now working for the layout for the Croissant et la Croix.
Yeah.
And it's the first time in England. We want to show to the visitor how it will be running, because it will be a new game on the Saga system, but it will be also a standalone game.
Yes.
So if the people want to start in Saga, they don't need to have the Dark Age rule set book.
Yes.
But they can start with directly with Le Croissant et la Croix.
Yeah. And that's because, I mean, amongst other things, you've changed the graphic design, haven't you? Like from the battle boards and stuff, you've changed the graphic design and the way the battle boards look.
Yes, we make the choice to manage in different parts the rules, but the most important system is still the same. You know what I mean? And of course, this new book, this new standalone game, will have 6 new factions during the Crusade period.
Yeah. So it's a bigger book to begin with, yeah?
Say again, please. Sorry.
It's a bigger book. Because obviously Saga was 4 factions when it first launched.
Yes. So it will be bigger, I think.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're right.
Okay. I was talking to Alex earlier, and he mentioned something about the book coming out in hardback. Is that right, as opposed to softback?
We until now we don't know exactly. We will see. We are working first to prepare the layout.
Yeah.
And we have to make some choice in the next future. So we have to deal, but it's not already decided.
Okay, fine. And so after Crescent and the Cross is released, obviously you've got Jugular out at the moment. I know there's 2 factions of models being released with some more coming up, aren't there, for that. What are you working on next, as far as Studio Tomahawk's concerned?
Okay, I will say to you, like a secret, we are working on the special rules about World War I.
Oh, right, okay.
Yes, it will name maybe 1914. And it will be a great surprise. And I will say, especially for you, for the first time, Studio Tomahawk will deal rules with a new scale.
Right,
maybe a 10 millimeter scale. So it will be a strategic game, and you can manage British army, of course, French army against a German one, and you can deal it like a general, maybe around like a division.
Yeah.
But it will be a small scale game, so you can manage in your dining room, because the table will be not so important, of course.
Yeah. Okay. Right. So it's the Miracle on the Marne. Yes. The Miracle on the Marne. Your first Marne, Battle of the Marne. Is that primarily what you're basing on in 1914?
In 1914, it will be the battle between the beginning of the war until how to say in English to go to the Channel. You know.
Yeah.
This is the movement war.
Yes. Okay.
Yes. It will deal this period.
Okay. And when are we likely to see that? Is that going to be something that we're going to be looking at for next year, for next salute?
It's difficult to say, because to avoid the deception, we don't like to give a date.
Right.
But we have first to finish Le Croissant et la Croix.
Yeah.
We are just starting the play test for the World War I.
Yeah.
We hope so it will be ready until the end of this year, but I cannot promise it.
Okay, that's fine. Well, it sounds really interesting, Alex.
Yes,
thank you for your time today.
Thank you for you.
Have you found Salute, by the way? How have you enjoyed Salute? Is this your first time? Is this your first time?
No, it's my second time.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it 2 years ago like a visitor.
Yeah.
And this year like a demonstrator with our friend Gripping Beast.
Yeah.
And it was a very busy day, like you can see.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, because you've been demoing jugular all day, haven't you?
Yeah, all the day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did all the demonstrations of jugular. I'm a little bit tired now.
I gotta say, have you been busy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah. And what do people think of it? Has it been received well?
Jugular?
Yeah.
I think so, but you have to ask to them.
That's fine. Well, thank you for your time, Alex.
Yeah, thank you for you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Where strategy board games and miniature war games collide. This is the Meeples and Miniatures podcast.
I managed to catch up with Warwick Kinraid, author of the Battle Group series. Hi, Warwick.
Hiya.
Hi, how's it been with Salute for you today?
It's been good. Good day.
Yeah.
Good day. Yeah. It's always enjoyable to come down, isn't it?
You got a new release today, haven't you? Because you got Battle Group Barbarossa.
Yeah.
A bit of a change of direction from where you've been so far.
Yeah. Well, we've always wanted to, I mean, the plan is to cover all the war, so we have to get to the early war eventually. It's done it back to front, started at the end, still back to the start. But yeah, this is the first, and then hopefully 39 and 1940 to follow after 1941 Barbarossa.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so what exactly does Barbarossa include?
Right, okay, well the book is, obviously it covers the invasion to Operation Typhoon, so which pretty much brings us to the end of 1941, so those 6 months, so summer to the winter. Obviously Germans and Russians, also lists for the Finnish continuation war, so the Finnish operation in the very far north. The Hungarian Rapid Corps and the Romanians are also in it for battle groups for Army Group South.
Yeah.
we didn't include the Italians and the Slovaks because we kind of figured 1941 was such a their contribution was so small that if we get to do 1942, then that seems like a more proper place for certainly for the Italians to come into the Eastern Front campaign. Yeah, all against a bit of shambolic Russian army, really.
Yeah. As I say, you seem at the moment to be in some ways, it's difficult to describe it as a bit of a treadmill, but at times at the moment, I mean, you're really rolling these out, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm trying to crack on.
Every 6 months.
Yeah, exactly. Every 6 months is the current plan, and we're managing to just about stick to it at the moment.
Yeah.
And it's not hard work for me. I thoroughly enjoy it, I assure you. But I mean, if we want to cover most of the war, then we are going to have to go quite fast, or we'll still be here in 10 years' time.
As I say, it's a bit of a big subject. Isn't it?
It is. It's a massive subject, and I don't want to break it down into tiny chunks, but I do want to be able to deal with, sort of a year or something significant in a chunk. But even then, because of the way we're treating the war, because we're trying to find a different character and a different feel to each theatre and each time period, then it's important that that we do break it up like that. So, and it allows us to get closer to historically accurate forces and units and equipment involved and stuff, so that you get a proper good feel for that period when you're playing that period of the war, which is what it's all about really for me. It's getting away from the sort of generic World War II feel. So I mean. So breaking it up into sort of yearly chunks kind of helps. Now, obviously, the war unfortunately doesn't break down into easy yearly chunks like that, but you can kind of try and find your fracture points, I think, there it is.
Okay, I mean, you were saying, you started with the beginning of the war, so, okay, we've done Barbarossa. What's coming next? I've heard rumours about Western Desert on the horizon.
Definitely, I mean, I've started putting some stuff and first notes together for Western Desert. Certainly the early desert, anyway, because I think
if nothing else, to keep Mr. Townsend happy.
Well, eventually, I mean, obviously, and it's one of the big obvious theatres that we haven't covered yet. Today, actually, some people have asked me about the Pacific as well, which certainly I'd like to cover. I haven't really considered how you do that, whether that would have to be the early Pacific with the British and Burma and then the Americans and their islands operations, or whether it could all be in one book, or I'm not sure. Certainly for the desert, I think splitting it into 2 books for an early desert with from the initial Italian invasions to the arrival of the Africa Corps in 41, the kind of classic, up to about El Alamein, I think. And then after El Alamein, when it changed that, and then you can introduce the Americans for Operation Torch for later on. They try to put all that into one book, and you end up with something that's an enormous tome.
Oh, quite.
So split it into 2, which may be something like, I don't know, split it at about El Alamein, like I said, and make it into 2 desert books. And then after that, people have asked about Italy. People have asked about 1946, actually, because I did mention about doing a sort of alternate history, World War III, 1946. What happens if the Russians just keep coming? Which will be a departure for us. And I don't really want to get into the kind of alternate World War II, zombies, werewolves and all that kind of stuff, but treating it as in the same way as a historical campaign, even though we're going to make up that historical campaign. But it might be an interest as to include like the Centurions and JS3s and change those forces and make it very simple for you that if you already play 1945 as I do, then you can put those Russian forces against those American forces and have lists with which to do it that balance out against each other. And that would certainly be the motivation for me, because I have those miniatures and it'd be kind of nice if they would fight each other.
Right. Okay. You talked about you've done late war with obviously with Overlord and Fall of the Reich and stuff. 2 things that Major Hole, obviously, Market Garden and Battle of the Bulge.
Exactly. We haven't covered a period of late 1944, which is something I have talked about actually with Piers and Will, that there might be room for doing a sort of West Wall supplement at the borders of Germany, which would include obviously the Battle of the Bulge, maybe Hertigen Forest, and obviously Market Garden as well. Which is for me that would make a complete 3 series 3 books in a series, a trilogy, in fact, that would cover all the European theatre of operations from the West. Then in 3 books. I'm aware there's a bit of a gap there. I think one of the things that prevents me from doing it so soon, really, is that the list would still be close to what you've got in Overlord, really, and that you've got airborne list in overall. And let's face it, from the drop into Normandy is not much different from the drop into Holland, comparatively in equipment and men, etc. So you'd be ended up with a very similar list. And again, with the American troops in the Ardennes, you'd end up with a very similar list again. And I don't want to be effectively doing the same thing over and over again at the moment. Sure. Eventually, though, I think that would work, because I can see that a German force for sort of defence of the West Wall, sort of last guys, sort of fortress battalions and things like that, could make quite an interesting German list. But again, there's a force, the Resistance Nest force that's already in Overlord would probably substitute for that quite well. Yeah. As long as he didn't take sort of beach defences and things like that, obviously. Sure. But, the sort of dug-in strong points and minefields and all that would probably be, you could probably make a reasonable stab at those. So.
I see what you mean. I mean, other than the actual kind of the campaign element of the book itself. The army lists are, as you say, not a tremendous amount of change.
Yeah, it's effectively the same armies are still fighting each other. So and it's finding, like I said, it's finding a different kind of, a slightly different feel as how to taking it, and I think it would feel very much just like Overlord again. At the moment. And so whilst I want to do it eventually for a sense of completion, for me it's more exciting to go and do the desert first, where you're thinking like this will be a totally different war to anything we've covered before, or even the Pacific, where you're thinking this is going to be a very different war, and you get to cover the Japanese and the kind of the oddities of their army and stuff like that.
And then obviously at some point hopefully covering Stalingrad.
42, that's certainly, because the Eastern Front I can see eventually being covered in 5 books for 5 years. So we've got 41 is just been out, 43 was Kursk, 45 is Fall of the Right. That leaves us 42 and 44. So 42 is effectively Stalingrad as far as I'd be concerned. And then you've got 44 for Bagration, and then certainly we could follow on from what we've done with the Finns in this book and do the northern operation for the Russian invasion of Finland, and eventually basically the Finns get the Russians get their own back on the Finns, and it's time for the Finns to start running away.
So enough material to keep you going for a few years.
Obviously it's a sort of 5-6 year plan, long-term project for me. With the occasional, a few alternative, slightly odd things that we'd like to throw in as well, because I'd like to do the 1946 thing just to see how people react to it, because if it went down well and people thought it was a good thing to do, you could see all other alternative World War II theatres or operations, the kind of things you could see a Sea Line book or something like that, the stuff that just didn't quite happen, but it might be interesting to wargame it if it did. And certainly effectively you'd be using your 1940 British force against your 1940 German force, but you could then do a German amphibious assault unit and a British beach defence unit, whoever that was, your granddad with a stick defending the beach.
So of course you get the Home Guard involved.
Exactly. So like I said, if anything like my granddad, you'd be defending a road tunnel armed with a broom.
Well, it's been great to chat, Warwick. I'm glad you had a good day. And we look forward to more battle group supplements in the future.
Cheers. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
The Meeples and Miniatures podcast is very happy to be sponsored by Coat d'Arms Paints. Now, Coat d'Arms have been supporting miniatures painters with their products for well over 20 years in some way, shape or form. Their current range is 150 sets of acrylic paint, which are available both as individual colours, but also in paint sets depending on period, things such as the Ancients paint set, the World War II German, World War II American, World War II Russian paint sets, and they also include things like an ACW set and even a Horsetown set. That's one way to purchase your paints. And they also do triads. Now, if you're a fan of the three-colour system, made famous by the likes of people like Kevin Dallimore, you may like to purchase your paints with a dark shade, a medium shade and a highlight. And the triad system from Coat d'Arms allows you to do this. They also have ranges of textured paints called Brushscape, which allow you to paint from textures onto bases as well as colour, and these are ideal especially for smaller scale models. And if you're a fan of the dip method of painting, then Coat d'Arms have their own product available called Super Shader. This is available in light brown, dark brown and black. Coat d'Arms paints have a whole range of products available to try. Check them out at www.blackhat.co.uk and be sure to tell them that we sent you.
I've bumped into somebody I haven't chatted to on the show for at least 5 minutes.
Hello.
Hello, it's Jake Thornton. Hello, Jake.
Hello, Neil. How you doing?
Well, it's saluting, isn't it? Here we are again.
Seems to be that way, yes.
Yes. So, how have you found it?
I found it very big, and what I found, I've had a little bit more time this year than my previous years to have a quick wander around.
Yeah.
And I was looking around this morning because we set up yesterday, and we had a little bit of time. Came in early, and we kind of found we'd done it all yesterday, so there wasn't much left to do, and we had lots of extra helpers and so on. So I kind of had a bit of a wander around before the doors opened. And I went up one row, went down another row, talked to a couple of people, and then all of a sudden it was an hour later. And, and I thought, I've looked at about a sixth of this place. It's huge. There's so much here. And I haven't spent a lot of money yet, but it's going to happen, I think.
Oh, you think?
Yes.
So you are the foolishly brought your wallet with you?
Well, I brought a whole bunch of toy soldiers I didn't need, and someone gave me some cash for them. So, but I did this here partly with the express purpose of changing that cash into toy soldiers. So I left and returned from the house with miniatures rather than anything that could be spent or converted into anything nonsensical like food.
Right.
Got to get your priorities right.
So, what's caught your eye today? Anything?
Things that caught my eye. There are. One of the things that is kind of increasingly obvious is that the standard of concept art and figures is just getting higher and higher. And I was talking about this to somebody else, and we were saying when Confrontation was around, when Confrontation came out, you looked at Confrontation, you went, wow, gorgeous concept artwork, what amazing figures, not like anything else. And now you look around and you think, Confrontation came out today, you'd say, yeah, they're nice. so's that, so are them. Look at those ones in the corner, these ones, and the standard, the kind of the upping the game of what it takes to look like a reasonable professional company. I mean, the standard is so high now. And this is just an absolute treasure trove and a treat for gamers to be able to go around and go, well, it almost doesn't matter what period or what you want, someone's making a gorgeous model for it.
Yeah.
And this is just great. I mean, it's but there's the old when I was little, I had lots of time and no money. I could play any number of things, but I couldn't afford what I wanted. And now I'm the opposite way around, and I'm going to be very much more choosy. So I'm given this absolute orgy of opportunity. But there's no way I can play. I could go around here and find 50 absolutely amazing ranges of figures.
Yeah.
And I think that's not an exaggeration. I think literally I could go and get 50 really nicely done, beautifully made sets of figures from different people, and I would never be able to play all those different games. It's just too many different things. So I'm having, it's interesting because I think this is actually changing the way the whole gaming industry works because it's a case of gamers have got to learn a new skill. It's not about picking a period and playing a game. It's about, and maybe you pick the best figures you find in that. It's about saying there's so many nice things, so many shiny new toys. How can I select? How can I pick? How can I winnow this down?
What you mean we can't have all of them?
Well, I mean, it's just the practicality. I mean, whether it's about money or whether it's about time, it's the practicality of can you actually deal with
all of the shiny toys we've got, on sale. I mean, this is Salute is just a really good example of everything in one place. But even so, there are still people who aren't here. There's still more than this. And you look on Kickstarter any day of the week, and there's 100 shiny toys there being proffered. And it's you have to find a way in which you kind of winnow this down to some kind of manageable quantity. Not that I'm suggesting for a minute that gamers will not or should not have a great mound of unfinished things they're never going to get around to, because that's just natural. That is clearly the order of the universe is maintained by these sort of things.
Yes.
But it's just kind of I keep thinking, well, that's really nice, but I thought, but maybe it's maturity. Maybe I'm accidentally becoming more mature. Maybe it's learning that there are things that are shiny that I don't have to have. It's an odd concept, I know, but I mean, it's just.
So I'm looking at Jake in a somewhat critical fashion at this point in time. This is a very strange concept.
Yeah, I know. I like to be on the cutting edge, Neil. I like to be right there at the forefront of avant-garde thinking. Maybe it's possible for miniature to be really nice, and you don't actually have to have it. I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there as a weird concept. And just like call me crazy. People do, but just. Who knows? Maybe posterity will view me as a
I'd say it's an interesting concept, and you never know. It may catch on sometime in the future. But having said that,
like I said, I'm not saying you don't get any. I'm just saying out of 50, maybe you only get 40.
Okay.
Maybe easy stages, baby steps. But I've seen loads of really good stuff today. I mean, they're really nice things. I bought me some nice new Periplastics.
Ah, right, okay.
Periplastics from the AWI, new out today, yes. Shiny toys.
Yes,
I have no real use for them.
Yes. They do look very nice, but as you say, it's like, yes.
They were shiny. I bought them from Alan himself. I bought the first box of the day.
Oh, okay.
And it's worth no different from anybody else who bought anything. But it amused me that he said so. It was, there's some guys here, interesting guys here, crew called Taken, game called Taken.
Yes.
No, not Taken. I'm talking rubbish. Twisted.
Oh yes, I've tasted it. Oh yes, they look nice, don't they?
They look lovely, but they're here just to tease us because they haven't got things to sell. They're just teasing the artwork and the concepts and some very, very nice miniatures for a game they're going to kickstart later this year.
Yeah, for a box set that is coming out next year.
Yeah.
They're terrible, isn't it? It's like, okay, so can I get hold of any of this? No.
Yeah, well, I accidentally ended up with one figure, but that's...
Oh, okay. Oh, preferential treatment, I don't know.
You can't get them, no, you can't. Accidentally seem to have one, but... So that's really nice. The very nice work there. And that's coming up to look forward to.
Yeah.
I'm just cherry-picking people who I think... everyone will have seen, the Warlords and the Battlefront, and the big things. They have so much marketing power in terms of footprint within our little industry that you'll see that stuff. It's people who have it that kind of generally, they're the ones that attract me most. So you go, what curious little things are going on in the background? Because these are the people with real passion for whatever tiny little thing it is they do, that they all do in their spare time. They don't do this for a living, and you often get real gems lurking in the sideway. There's some stuff, Arc World.
Yeah.
Nice stuff there. What is his name? It is something like Taken. It is not. I think I'm confused because there's more than one T word.
Ah, right, okay.
Again, over in the far corner, you may mention him when you perambulate your way in that direction. Down there, Discworld doing Arc World, doing sort of very small 28mm resin, sort of steampunky kind of things. Reminded me of. I said to him, it reminded me of Smog.
Yes.
28mm Smog. And he went, no, we're not that crazy. And then you go and you look at some of the ones, you're going, sure you're not that crazy. Maybe not quite as crazy as Smog, but,
Yeah. Getting there.
He has his moments. He has his moments. And I think there's some really nice stuff coming. And again, that's a game that is in progress, that's not quite out yet. And there's a guy next to him doing a spaceship game.
Yeah.
And again, that's got a nice little spin on it. Some very nice figures. He's just selling the first of the ones he's done, and the game will be coming along, and all this. Lots of really exciting stuff going on still. And then we've got Twilight. We've got lots of really cool stuff. in the little corners among the little boutique companies.
Yes.
That's what I take from this is the chance to see those guys.
Yeah.
Because you can see people like Warlord are big enough to turn up all sorts of places they've got to staff. The little guys can't do that because they haven't got the logistical support.
Yeah, so this is like their one show of the year,
kind of, I mean, some of them will do their best to turn up a local thing or whatever, but this is the chance to see, as a customer, as a gamer, this is a chance for me to walk around and see all of these guys in one place. And there's loads and loads of stuff going on, and I haven't seen most of it. And people like, I mean, even big friends of your Super Lodges, who happen to be next to the stand I'm working on, which means I won't miss them. So I'm going to pick up a couple of bits of theirs and have a chat with those guys. It's like so much. It is kind of child in sweet shop, unfortunately. Even though I've been saying you can't buy everything, you can't. It's just impractical. I can't play everything, but partly because of what I do, partly because it's just my nature. I read rule books anyway. Yeah. Just for my own amusement. I always have. So I don't expect to play everything I buy. That's kind of not the intent. I kind of more like understanding things and digging around and working them out and seeing if there's anybody come up with any interesting, clever ways of spinning things or how people have developed from one game to the next. And so it's a chance for me to kind of catch up with some other bits. But it's the gems for me in this show are the little people. Yeah. I may not have heard of, or if I've heard of them, I've only seen a picture on the internet. Yeah. I've never had the miniature in front of me to actually look at, and that makes such a difference.
Oh yeah, very much so. Yeah,
such a difference. Anyway, I can't keep you here all day.
That's all right. As I say, I mean, you're kind of blinking in the lights, having been let out of the Mantic bunker for 5 minutes, so you can.
Yes. Well, we have lots of help here. We've got pathfinders down. We've got quite a lot of staff. So even though you can see from where I'm standing that the stand is kind of buried under people at the moment, we're still, I can still stand over here and talk to you and nobody misses me. 5 minutes. So I mean it's been a busy day and it's been kind of fun. There's lots of people coming up who've joined on one Kickstarter or another, or play the games at their club or with their kids, or and they maybe have a question or maybe just want to have a chat, and that's great. I quite like kind of be able to just say, how did you find it? What about this? And I know somebody said, and I happened to be standing beside them when they said it. They weren't talking to me; they were talking to a mate, and they looked at Dreadball, and one of them said, "Oh, what about this?" And the guy went, "Oh, that's just Blood Bowl." And so I tapped him on the shoulder and said, "Excuse me." And proceeded to do my explanation of why that wasn't quite the case. And I think it's interesting that will all, I knew when we started that was going to be there.
And did he at some point say, "Well, who are you?" He said, "Oh, I'm the guy that."
No, I did say I have a rather biased viewpoint on this. But this is what it's about, and that's why I wrote The Elephant in the Room. The first thing I wrote about it was the elephant in the room, because that is the first thing that will happen. Yeah. And it will always happen. But I think it's interesting to be able to hear it kind of first. It's just funny for me to kind of. It's amusing to see it in action. Yes. And you go, oh no, that's just and you go, well, actually, it's not quite like that. But it's
Yeah. Well, it's been great to catch up with Jake.
Yep.
Because obviously you haven't been on the show for at least 2 episodes, so we had to catch up with you.
2 episodes, dear me.
And
we're slipping.
So it's fab to chat, and hopefully we'll catch up soon, and we can talk about some other stuff that you're doing.
Yes, we shall.
Indeed.
Yes.
Cheers.
Yes, good to be here.
Oh. Well, that's all we've got time for on this particular show. Again, I hope you enjoyed the interviews. As I said, we've got a few more lined up after the day. We're going to be talking again to Gamer Miniatures. We're going to be having another chat with Will Townsend from Plastic Soldier Company. I'm going to be talking with the guys behind the Valhalla game and a few other bits and pieces as well. So, lots of more stuff in store, hopefully within the next few weeks and months. So, thanks for listening. Take care, and we'll speak again really soon. Bye. Thank you for listening to the Meeples and Miniatures podcast. If you want to know more about Meeples and Miniatures, there are several things you can do. First of all, you can visit the website at www.meeplesandminiatures.co.uk. If you want to contact the show at all, you can email me at neil@meeplesandminiatures.co.uk. You can follow the show on Twitter. Simply look for M&M Podcast, or click the follow us on Twitter button from the website. We also have a group on Facebook. That's the Meeples and Miniatures Podcast Fan Club. Again, follow the link from the website. And finally, if you want to help us to support the show, you can always donate to the podcast by clicking the PayPal button on the donate page, again found on the website. Once again, thank you for listening. I hope you've really enjoyed the show. Take care, and I'll speak to you soon.